Hi there, and welcome to our channel. I'm Jen Gomer with CarePatrol of Denver, here to bring you expert tips, trusted resources, and real guidance for senior care. Let's meet today's guest. I'm here with George and Diana Milian. They're from Steps After Life. We have been talking about how our services and theirs are so integrated. Do you guys want to start with just sharing a little bit about yourselves and what led you to create Steps After Life?
Yeah, hi everyone, Diana Milian here. I have the humble title of CEO for the business.
Hi everyone, I'm George and I am one of the co-founders. We came up with the idea of Steps After Life many years ago. It's actually been probably 12 years ago when the idea came, and then in 2016 we kind of started the organization and started the idea of what this might be. And it's really helping families at the toughest times in their life.
I like to say we help families in the toughest times of their lives, but your portion is obviously just as challenging, probably more challenging. Do you want to go into what your service is and kind of personal challenges that shaped how you decided to help these folks?
We are a white glove concierge for families when they lose a loved one. Everything that's associated with the death, all the paperwork, all the admin heavy stuff that comes after a death, that is the most challenging time for a family. Not only are they grieving, but they're confused. We like to be there for the family right away when the death does happen, to guide them through all the steps, to be able to call all the credit bureaus for them, to call Social Security, to get everything, all the closures done for them.
The idea started is the loss of many family members in my life, from my aunts and my uncles to my grandparents. And during that time, we started the business, but it really came together in December of 21.
My love for the business and my love for what we do grew even more after my dad passed in 2021, because I had to do everything for him. So when it's such a personable loss and it's someone that's so close to you, it's different. So I know what families go through and I know what they experience and how they feel. I love helping families. They become our family.
When do you think a family should start having these conversations?
I don't think that you should wait until there's some tragic diagnosis or the death is going to be expected. Most deaths are unexpected. As soon as you even think about it, you should plan. It doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how young you are. You should plan ahead of time. As soon as you're hearing this video, as soon as you're just talking about death, it's a morbid conversation to have, but it's so important and it's inevitable. It's life.
I would add to that, people have life insurance because they're thinking about the future. People talk about wills or estates because they're thinking about the future. When somebody gets married, they start to change who their beneficiary is on their 401k. When they have a child, they start thinking about those things. There's never a perfect time, but the time is the minute you think about it.
That's a hard conversation. Do you have suggestions on how to start that conversation?
It's just having that conversation of saying, hey, do you have a plan? Have you thought about these things? Where are these things? And the way in which you approach it, I think, is depending upon your relationship. I'm a very direct communicator. So, I'm going to ask a little bit more digging deep type questions than somebody else might. I think the other way you can approach it is saying, hey, listen, many times in people's lives, they go through different things, mom, dad, and I don't want our family to have to argue and struggle and fight over this little chair that's here. Do you have a will? Do you have an estate? Do you have a trust? If that conversation hasn't been had, what do you want when you do pass away? Because it's easier to have the conversation now than the unfortunate timely event of losing somebody, and then you're arguing with family and friends and trying to deal with it.
I think if you have kids, if you have a family, if you have things like boats and cars and valuables and assets, you should definitely be organized and have that all together.
Could you walk us through what a typical client experience is with Steps After Life?
The first thing is we get a phone call. That phone call comes to one of us or to one of our team members that will answer that call.
Obviously, we give our condolences to the family when they call us, and I ask a few questions on who passed away, when they passed away. I ask them if they have a death certificate. We don't get into any type of money or anything like that. And I let the family know what we're going to do for them, what we're going to help with. We do give them a checklist. We build such a great relationship with them. And I can't tell you enough how much these families always say, oh my goodness, I'm so thankful for your help.
We do get a limited power of attorney signed We do contact any creditors that they need us to do, make the phone calls that they need us to make. We have the intake form that we do. We have a lot of processes set in place to make sure that security, confidentiality, and we're honoring the loved one that has passed away, but also making sure that their family is set up for success during this very difficult time.
So our services are $500, $1,500, and $3,000. Basically what we're trying to do is customize our services based upon these packages for what a family may need after the passing of their loved one.
The percentage of people who have their identity stolen after they pass away, what was that statistic again?
25% of individuals that pass away inside of the first 60 days, which annually is about 880,000 people a year, have their identity stolen within the first 60 days. That does not account for all of the other identities of deceased individuals, which is usually about 2.5 to 2.7 million people annually. Because if you think about it, there's 3.3 million people that die. And then there's people that 2 years ago, their identity is being stolen today because people are always trying to, unfortunately, do the wrong things. So that's how that identity piece is really important. And we try to do everything we can to protect those families so they don't have to deal with those things.
In the CarePatrol world, we're often balancing multiple family members. How do you guys navigate that when you have two sons in this state and a daughter in this state and a step family somewhere else?
We're speaking with the next of kin or the beneficiary. It's the person that's the informant on the death certificate. That's who we're working with. We're very extremely careful about that.
The executor of the estate,
Yep.
We've had executors or the trustees that are reaching out to us. The individual that we're supposed to be speaking to, we will. In each state, there's something, usually a small estate affidavit, which means there was no estate and you're trying to keep it from probate because the assets are less than what the state limit is. Michigan is $50,000, for example. So whoever that individual would be is traditionally who we would be communicating with.
Can you just tell people before they call you what type of paperwork they should have?
I would need just the death certificate, and then I ask them, there's a few questions, like security questions that are needed when I call certain creditors. So I'll ask them those questions once I receive the death certificate.
You offer a range of services from Social Security benefits, like assistance, to closing digital accounts. Which services do you find families are most surprised to learn about that they need your help with?
Credit protection is one. I don't think a lot of folks think about that. Closing down and getting reimbursements from past expenses, depending on how long ago it's been since that individual passed. They might have subscription services for 4 or 6 months that they can actually get reimbursed on. Another one is that they don't have to pay every single debt that is coming, every bill that is coming, because if the estate can't cover it and they're not responsible, there's a lot of family members that put themselves into debt trying to pay for somebody else's debt that they are not responsible for. And there were no assets to cover those debts. So I think that's a big one for a lot of families. They think, hey, I got an $8,000 American Express bill and I got to pay this bill. The fact is, before somebody pays that, we want to make sure that they have to pay it before they do.
When people don't have a power of attorney or a guardian or conservator, do you run into those scenarios and how do you go around it?
That would be usually your next of kin, who the beneficiary might be if there was a life insurance policy, who, again, going back to the answer I gave earlier, who is the individual that would be claiming the property or the estate is who we would want to have those conversations with. Unfortunately, there are people that don't have family members and they just have a friend and that's who's listed. Then we're going to have that conversation and help them out as long as they're the right person legally that we can have it with.
When a loved one passes away, the task can seem overwhelming. Can you talk about some of the most common hurdles families face in the weeks or months following a loss?
There's really a few categories. There's a lot of personal grief. If somebody is working, they're trying to work and navigate a family. When Diana lost her father, personally, I was working full time. She had our 4 boys, and then trying to handle all of the stuff along with our business. So it's a lot. And you can only imagine what it's like if you don't have support or if both individuals are working full time. Then you've got all these financial accounts, you've got all these membership accounts, you've got all the real estate, you've got all their personal subscriptions, you've got all their protected information, and then you've got all the miscellaneous things that kind of you bundle in, and it's a lot. It's hundreds of hours of time that are consumed, and you're still trying to live your normal life and not trying to be consumed by all of those things. This is a slow down, let's lay things out and let's figure it out. If it takes 3.5 months or 2.5 months or 6 months, that's okay, because we don't have to rush to make decisions. We can actually do it the right way.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of people that rush and just do things, and they don't realize that they're probably taking a few missteps.
Your approach is described as both compassionate and informed. How do you balance the emotional support families need with the logistical tasks that must be handled?
Honesty and transparency.
Yeah.
These are real feelings, real humans that are going through emotion.
We're guiding them like with our voices. So they can call us. We tell them they can call me anytime. We want to be there for the family whenever they need us, and when we will be.
We're a human touch, human approach with technology. We're not just a technology company saying, like, you have a voice and a person that understands. Everybody on our team also has experienced the loss of life. To join Steps After Life is to make sure that you understand the emotion that somebody can be going through, to be a part of this journey with that family member.
How CarePatrol and Steps After Life, how your services are so intertwined. I was saying that CarePatrol, we feel like we're helping people in a hardest stage when it hits people in the face that, oh my gosh, now I or my dad or my mom need more help. I never thought I'd need this. It's something people put off. They didn't think they'd need it. And now all of a sudden it's hit in their face that they do. And it's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about. They don't want to think about, and this does surprise them when it comes to them. And even though we're all going to pass away, I feel like your service offers that same perspective.
Yeah, you're handling a certain step and we're handling a certain step. Both steps are so important.
What CarePatrol does, what Steps After Life does, what funeral homes do, like, we're orchestrating the preparation of the loss of life and doing it with dignity, with respect, with care, with honesty and transparency, because putting your family member in a home is not easy. There's emotion behind it. Laying your loved one to rest, there's emotion behind it. And all of those feelings after is where we all come in and try to put a helping hand to that family and help guide them through their tough times.
Do you want to speak to how Steps After Life has evolved, or new services you're offering, or where you're headed?
I wouldn't say emotional. I get even more excited because of where we're going. I believe that we, Steps After Life, will not be just a company in the United States that helps families. I believe that we're a company that will help families internationally. I believe that we will change the way death is looked at, the way death is handled in every industry, from financial to personal, the way in which bereavement is handled, the way in which the government handles death, the way in which people look at it and feel about it. We're going to change it. The next thing that excites me, which is we're in the process of getting our 501, which is a charitable contribution, which is called FFF, which is the Family Funeral Fund, which part of our proceeds and revenues will go into that charitable contribution fund, which will help families that can't afford funerals, give them our services and pay for the funeral for those families that will be eligible. So we're excited for the future. We're really excited for the opportunities that are coming, and this has been awesome.
Is there anything else you want to let our audience know? Maybe if they're interested in the service or want to learn more, the best first step?
When you call, it'll be a human, not a robot. So you don't have to press any prompts. So we're there for you, just like you'd call a friend.
And for our CarePatrol people out there, if someone calls looking for a CarePatrol agent and wants to learn more about Steps After Life, we can gladly connect you.